Good evening, you're watching The Union Show. I'm Casey Dickey. Continuing on from our report into the Hanks review of the Accident Compensation Act, on Sunday, Trades Hall launched its campaign and website, fixworkcover.org. Here are some of the highlights.
Why the Victorian trade union movement has to have a campaign to fix WorkCover shouldn't have to happen. We have participated in a long and lengthy and detailed review of the Accident Compensation Act over the last 4 or 5 months with Peter Hanks QC in good faith. The purpose of that review, as far as we were concerned, and in fact indicated to us by the state government, was to improve the Accident Compensation Act and make it a more workable piece of law that would assist injured workers. However, the final draft recommendations from Peter Hanks QC that were produced recently from the review that has just recently concluded contain some very, very dangerous elements in it that, in our clear view, will lead to a diminution of rights for injured workers in Victoria.
I am an injured nurse. I had an initial injury in 1989. I've been to conciliation 4 times, and one of the most scary things was going to conciliation knowing that I had the employer and the insurance company defending themselves. I had a very lengthy and gruelling conciliation, and me being the little person who was injured, I was really vulnerable and very emotional. I don't understand the complexities of the whole WorkCover Act and the procedures within conciliation, so I have relied heavily on the support of my union representatives and also solicitors. And to have that taken away, I don't know where I would be. So that's my understanding, is that this is going to be completely changed, and I feel that the worker is going to be much worse off.
The system's frightening, the system's daunting, the system is intimidating. How anyone can even attempt to even make it harder for people, God forbid if you have English as a second language, or if your educational skills are not what they maybe should be or could be, or you're just a decent person who trusts other people when they tell you they will look after you. In my case, let me tell you, the system failed me. We can't make it harder. It is daunting, it's frightening now. How can we even contemplate making a system that needs improving harder?
Now, Barney Cooney was the last person that conducted an actual inquiry into the Accident Compensation Act in 1984. He made recommendations that were put in place that became the Accident Compensation Act of 1985. When Jeff Kennett got in, he pared back benefits, entitlements and rights of injured workers. Those rights have not been reinstated.
The injuries that are inflicted at work can be fearful, and it's a matter, may I say, not of charity in compensating that. It's not a matter of charity, it's a matter of rights. And what has me concerned about the general approach is that somehow you're looked upon as an injured person, as somebody who should be given a little bit of charity, a little bit of help, and that's not right. There's an obligation on an enterprise to ensure that its workers, those who produce its goods and services upon which it relies, that they're properly cared for, that their safety is protected, that if they do get injured, that they're compensated properly, and that they are returned to work to meaningful jobs. If there weren't money around to do that, people might sort of start, well, look, you know, the economics of it all prohibit you doing what you should do. But here there's no question of economics, because the profit that the institution returns is in excess of $1 billion, as I understand it. I don't like the idea of money being raised on the back of the injured workers to go to consolidated revenue. But that's just a prejudice.
Brian's now going to do is send the first email to the 74 Labor politicians in the state government.
I want you to cheer. FixWorkCover.org is the Trades Hall Council's response to the Peter Hanks review into workers' compensation. It actually is a key illustration of how serious we take workers' compensation and how to protect injured workers in Victoria, that we have to have our own dedicated website to mount a campaign to convince the government not to weaken and undermine work cover conditions for injured workers.
And what do you think of the Trades Hall campaign that's been launched today?
Oh, it's good. I think it's necessary. It's well within time, and I hope it's successful, because I do think that the Trades Hall does have a sense of what injured workers go through. And you heard the three this morning, and that's the problem. There's real suffering that's going on, and workers' compensation, the prevention of injuries, rehabilitation back to work, all that's meant to lessen that stress and strain and that injury that you suffer from. It's bad that should be able to continue when there is scope for doing more about it.
I mean, I've been through this system, and for anything to be changed and make it harder is going to be very detrimental to any worker.
Don't forget to check out their website, fixworkcover.org. Join us after the break when we bring you more of The Union Show.